Dawson's Rambles.
Hey YouTube, Dawson Ryder here. For today's video, I'm going to be talking about the top 5 things that I want to see in Power Rangers Cosmic Fury. So I might do an update on this when we get more info, when we know what we're going to be using, and we might have an idea more clearly of what Sentai or not Sentai, because there might be more ideas that springboard off of this. Same thing for not wants. But let's so far talk about what I'd like to see just based off of the idea of a 3rd season and its potential. Coming in at number 5 is kind of a mixed one that's going to have a direct mirror or parallel for my not wants list. But for number 5 is I wouldn't mind seeing some nice, well done cameos from past Rangers since it's the 30th anniversary season and it is possibly the last season in this continuity. I would not mind seeing them. Although I'll be honest, if we did not have a single one, I would not be upset. But if we did them right, I would be more than happy to see them, especially some that we might have not seen before, not seen in a while. But I want to see them done well. Not in a do justice to the source material way, but just in a way that I don't want it to be just simply a quarry team-up fight with a bunch of explosions and posing. I want to see it to be a meaningful, character-driven situation where the Rangers might act as some sort of mentor to the new Rangers or have a connection with the new Rangers. Something just a little more substantial, because that's what I really enjoy about returning characters for team-ups is the interactions between the characters, whether it's something meaningful because the two connect or can impart wisdom to each other, or it's something funny because you know that their characters might bounce off of each other in a funny way. And I really hope to see that. I'd kind of want it to be something where maybe they'll run into a couple characters and it's kind of like a mini tribute team-up episode that allow them to interact. It is kind of funny when you think about it, though, thinking about a veteran Ranger from the past being a mentor to Zato, because Zato is a new Ranger for us, but he's technically one of the oldest Rangers. Zato and Ion arguably could be considered more experienced Rangers than some of the veteran Rangers, which I think is funny. It's kind of like people being like, how come the Dino Fury Rangers could hold their own against Zed? I'm like, I would argue at least Zato and Ion are way more experienced than the mmpr team was when they went up against Zed. So I think that's kind of interesting. But if they do that, I just want to see it be well done, and I think it would be nice to get some unique ones. There's been a lot of rumors of David Yost's involvement in something, an anniversary special or something like that. If he was a reoccurring mentor figure, actually that would be pretty cool, because Billy's not a character that's often highlighted. I mean, they have a couple options that aren't exactly on the table right now, but even if they wanted to do Tommy or Jason for this season, I actually would maybe pick something like Billy, because he hasn't really gotten the highlight before. Number 4, I really just want to see them continue to, for lack of a better phrasing, improve on the improvements they've made with Dino Fury. I think that it hasn't been perfect. We still have some Neo Saban holdovers, but I think they've done a really good job at improving some of the dialogue and the character work to make the characters feel more like real human beings and not goody two-shoes mannequins. And I think they've done a better job too at sort of balancing the moral lessons. There's sometimes still where I wish they wouldn't force a moral lesson in. There's nothing wrong with moral lessons, but I think it could be done more naturally, and sometimes it feels like it's a priority. And I think that in Dino Fury, they've done a better job. You can really see, in my opinion, the evolution of it getting better. And I really hope that continues in Season 3, where we can see that to continue to improve, in terms of balancing the characters and the humor and the moral lessons and all that stuff. Now for number 3, in regards to both sort of simultaneously anniversary and world-building elements, I'd love to see some sort of homages and expansions on the mythology. If we're heading into space, I think that offers an opportunity to do some really cool stuff. Dino Fury unexpectedly expanded on the mythology of the Ranger universe by bringing back the Morphin Masters and loosely tying it to the comics a little bit, and also explaining stuff like where the Energems came from. Now, I don't want every single episode or every single second of the show to be dedicated to explaining stuff from the past, but I think it would be cool to have some past connections. Maybe we'd visit Onyx. Could we visit Miranoi? It's been forever, seriously. It would be really easy because you could just film it on Earth and pretend it's Miranoi, and stuff like that. Or, even new stuff. I'd love to be introduced to new Ranger lore and new Ranger worlds. And I'd love to see that setting be taken advantage of. And that's kind of a extension off my 4th point, where I want to see them continue to improve on the improvements, because I really like what Dino Fury has done as far as some world building, and I think that there's a lot of potential for that. And especially with it being a 3rd season, there's lots of possibilities for homages to the way the Zordon era worked with, building on storylines and cast and transition and mythology. And I think that there's some really cool potential to have story elements that can both expand and enhance the mythology while also being kind of an homage to the Zordon era and transitionary seasons like mmpr to Zeo or Turbo to Space and stuff like that. Number 2, speaking of, that is kind of my number 2 point, is I really want to see them be creative. Like right now, we don't know exactly what they're doing, whether they're going to be using any or no Sentai, how much Ryusoulger elements they might use, whether we're sticking to the Dino Fury suits at any point, or if we're going to be using them. But I think this season really offers some opportunity to be creative, and I've mentioned in previous videos how one of my favorite things about the adaptation aspect of PR is seeing them be more creative with it and not just thinking, what did the Sentai do? Can we do kind of like a loose adaptation of it and basically fill a couple things in differently? I liked the original era where it was like more like we want to tell our own story and do our own thing, and if we can use the Sentai thing to fit it, great. Well, let's just kind of make it work. And I kind of want to see that happen in this season if we do something that's a little bit mixed and hybridized. I want to see some really creative and fun stuff in regards to possibly mixing some Sentai elements with some original stuff that will harken back to those old days, especially if this is our last style. I'm definitely ready to get rid of Sentai adaptations personally, but I think it would be kind of a high note to end on for me to sort of pay tribute to that and end on the note of what I really liked about us using Sentai, which is just using it creatively. Number 1 is one of my classic cop-out answers, which I have on almost every single one of my, like, what I want to see out of lists, which is I just want the show to be good. I mean, who doesn't? That should almost be a given. But that's really, at the end of the day, my priority. You know, this season brings up a lot of excitement, a lot of expectations, a lot of possibilities. It's a 30th anniversary, possibly the last season in the continuity. You know, we're transitioning with a third cast for the third time, and there's all this possibility hanging over us of different Sentais or not using Sentai or a mix of both, and our imaginations can run wild, and there's all kinds of cool ideas I could list that I would love to see in different forms. But at the end of the day, so long as the show's cool. Like, I don't care if they would just use the Ryusoulger suits in space, we don't get a single anniversary element, or we don't adapt any of these Sentai. So long as the show's good and enjoyable, that's all I really want to see at the end of the day. But what are the things you guys want to see most out of this upcoming 3rd season based off of the very loose info we know right now? Let me know in the comments. As always, until next time, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and climb the steps, ring that bell so you get notifications for my videos. Dawson Ryder, signing out.